Okay, bottom of 9. Highlight this. The earliest form of social myth is a largely unconscious psychic structure that cannot be easily articulated. It begins with tales. Stop. The bard, the poet, tells a story, venturing farther and farther into what Italo Calvino calls the forest of fairy tale. And if he has sufficient, top of 10, courage to proceed into the unknown toward something darkly felt, he may be fortunate enough to be seized by a power outside of himself and be overcome by the vibrancy of myth. Highlight this. This overwhelming force, coming, as Calvino says, from the large ocean of the unsayable, engulfs the poet's tale and absorbs it into a larger, more vital pattern. The novelist Toni Morrison has spoken of going back to the communal folk tale as a point of departure to history and prophecy. Just keep highlighting. She goes on, that's what I mean by dusting off the myth, looking closely at it to see what it might conceal. Keep highlighting. Slotkin has described such a tale's narrative action, maintaining that it recapitulates a people's experience in their land, rehearses their visions of that experience in relation to their gods and the cosmos, and reduces its both experience and vision to a paradigm. Stop. This paradigm, you know what paradigm means? Okay, paradigm is just a way of thinking. So like the way a culture thinks. Yes, circle it. This paradigm of which Slotkin speaks of is, highlight this, the tribal myth that unites a people in a culture. Okay, so we have tribal myths in America. We do. We have tribes, whether you want to call us that or not. We have factions, divisions among people. And we have different ways, different tribes have different ways of thinking and of seeing the world and seeing America, right? That's what she means, that there's different stories that are told in different American tribes. This mythic awareness that permeates society, not as an occult power. Do you know what the occult is? Like a demonic power. Granted to a few, rather as a heightening of the natural state of sentient beings, circle sentient. That's us. Sentient means just like bloop, bloop, bloop. Just lazy people doing the thing every day. Just getting by. It also doesn't mean lazy necessarily, but it just means like alive people. People who are alive. People who can think. But sometimes not well, and sometimes they just don't want to. Aware of existence as having meaning. It produces a network of symbols. Highlight this. The mythic awareness produces a network of symbols, a web wherein insights are captured, a matrix where intuition can dwell. From it, we might say, extends a kind of lightning rod to attract the divine afflatus. The high arts, science, philosophy, prophecy are particularly attentive to this medium and are responsible for discerning and bringing to the community whatever extrasensory messages are granted them. Keep highlighting. The poet has in particular has the task of listening to the gods, the angels, the presences that are outside the self, outside the community's paradigm, as the supernatural agencies go about their seemingly random selection of events to be crowned with significance. The gods' choices define and beckon a people. The epic poet, as conscious artist, lets society know its identity and mission. Okay, this is why you go to church. So you think that your pastor or whomever it is preaching to you has some sort of access to the gods that you do not. Or at least you may have access, but they're actually practicing. Like they maybe have a super highway to the gods where you would have to really work hard to try to access that. This is why you listen to certain speakers who tell you what they know what God is saying. They know what the gods are saying. They know prophecy. They have visions. And then those people write that down. What gives the epic its cultural priority then might be summed up in as a function of its cosmopoesis, its making of a cosmos wherein the other genres find their place within the human life, within which human life may be envisioned in its varied dimensions. Highlight this. A cosmos is a self-enclosed state of order which must be intuited, so intuition, knowing something internally. And certainly the epic cosmos, a poetic image, cannot be logically encompassed or defined, nor can all its components be listed. Stop. No doubt, however, we can isolate some of the determining features of the world in which epic action takes place, knowing there must be many others which are experienced if not consciously noticed once we step into this expansive arena. Highlight. A primary feature of the epic cosmos is its penetration of the veil separating material and immaterial existence, allowing an intimate relationship between gods and men, and a resultant metaphysical extension of space. A second feature is its eschatological expansion of time, and third, restoration of equilibrium between masculine and feminine forces. The final feature, one that is no doubt paramount in its importance, is the epic's sense of motion, its linking of human action to divine destiny toward which it senses history moves. Stop. So those are the 4 features of the epic listed there in that last highlight. And the next sections are going to go into depth about the 4 features of the epic. So if you have questions about that, we're going to go into depth when I read section 3, which is when she talks about gods and humans together in epic work. Okay.